Hello and welcome to Digital Twin. Today we will talk about how to make a purchase of ERP system. Stay tuned. Digital Twin podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachovich, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes. I feel like this is something that we were talking about in the previous episode as well, but this one is gonna be even better because we'll dive deep into the process of actually not making a decision about which one would be best for us, which ERP system would be best for us, but the purchasing decision. Whenever we are ready to spend the money, not just collecting data on what would be important. So let's summarize maybe the previous episode, in terms of what should you be looking at when making that decision, and then let's talk about the purchasing process.
Sure. So as you said, we talk a lot about it in a previous episode, but today we will dive even more deep, and I think we can show like a summary probably because our episode like 20 or 30 minutes of implementation process of ERP.
Yeah. So that's it. So then, if you're interested in what was in the previous episode, please check out the previous episode. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I have this one question that I think will dominate the whole conversation today.
Okay.
And this is the question that probably you and me, we get this question a lot from the decision makers, and they say, "Yeah, I'm about to purchase this ERP system, but I have this one question. I also have other systems. What makes more sense, to have one system that just pulls all the information, and you can use that to make well-informed decisions, or it makes sense to maintain 3, 5, 7, 10, 25 different solutions that you kind of have to keep integrating, so whenever you apply any changes, one of them, that probably gonna influence the other ones as well. So I'm sure there is a very easy answer to this, or maybe the answer is super complicated. What would you recommend? But please don't say it depends.
Okay, so I will say it not depends, I guess.
But it does.
No, I mean because in general, I can say that it's good to have. If you ask me, if I see all of the companies in the world, and most of the companies in the world are small companies, right? So if I see, if my base would be the percentage of a small businesses versus large businesses, of course, there's much more small businesses than large business. So if I talk in general, mainly I would talk to small businesses. I would say it's good to have one system to do everything, right? To have all of the information is needed. But it depends because company also it depends on sector. It's impossible if you have a production manufacturing company and you are hiring, let's say, more than 100 people, you have more than 20 machines, probably it will be possible for you to track in a good way all of the quality, all of the data regarding to the process, to the costs and so on in ERP system, because ERP system is not for that. And I think we will talk about later on what is ERP for and what is not for. So short answer is yes, you can do everything in ERP if you're a small company, but for sure you shouldn't if you are a sector specific. And for sure you shouldn't if you have a larger scale of business. And you can imagine, for example, a situation when you have like one Excel spreadsheet and you have all of the information regarding to your business in one spreadsheet, right? So if you have like two employees, probably you have like invoices there, you have their like time of their work, you have their like information about their holidays and so on and so on and so on. You have the like your customers' phones, and this is one spreadsheet for everything, right? And
Mhm.
imagine this one spreadsheet if you have like not two customers but 200 customers, not two employees but 200 employees, and not one invoice a week but 200 invoices a day, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, makes sense to invest in the ERP solution for sure. Um, yeah, so again, it depends, right? So there's not one clear answer. Please don't believe people that are telling you that there is one clear answer that solves all the problems and this is the way to go. It always depends. That's why, getting two, three different opinions from different companies is crucial. Not just looking at the price, but looking at uh, the background story and what needs to happen for that ERP to be effective. So there's no one size fits all solution here. So maybe let's move to the implementation process of ERP. I'm guessing if you Google it, there's 5, 7, 10, 25 steps of how to implement it. Um, and we can agree that the first one would be needs assessment, right? So the first one would be to kind of figure out what do you actually need, uh, not what you want, but what you need. Mm, then the second part would be managing different kind of vendors, right? I mean, I'm looking at this from a perspective um, of a decision maker, of a company that is willing to buy that solution. Maybe you can talk about the other side, a company that provides that kind of solutions, actually, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so the first is needs assessment, and I have to do this, and maybe you can help me with that at that level, right? As one of the vendors, right?
Yeah.
Then the second one is, now I know what I want, what I need, and then I need to choose the right vendor. So why should I choose you as a vendor?
Okay.
'Cause this
That's
is
a
the
good
element that,
question.
yeah, because I'm trying to be the decision making committee in one person today, but I'm trying to understand that I have to make a decision. There are at least three different companies that we are considering, right? And I don't really know how to make the right decision because I cannot validate if what they're telling me is true. So why you, Adrian, and your ERP system?
Okay, that's a good question. I'll answer you very shortly because I think there's in four phases regarding to buy-in and implementing ERP systems,
Hmm.
and we are doing all of them as one company, and that's the short answer. And then I'll tell you what are the phases if you allow.
That's my like. I didn't know. I wanted to buy an ERP system, and I thought, you present the solution and you tell me, what the cost is, and then I go for it or don't go for it. Maybe I go for a cheaper option, but I didn't know there's four phases.
Yeah,
Can you elaborate?
yeah,
Because
sure.
you already got my attention. I think nobody told me that before. The other companies they told me that there is this that's the proposal, and you go with us, you'll be happy. We are the best at what we
Yeah,
do. And
yeah,
you kind of told me that there's different layers to making that decision.
yeah. So if you have an idea that okay, let's say I need an ERP, I want to buy a ERP. So there are four phases to do that.
Hmm.
So first phase will be the phase when you are defining your problem.
Hmm.
This is the assessment phase, which you mentioned before. So you have your needs analytics, you have your, talk to different groups of people and stuff like that. So there's a lot of time which you need to spend just, defining what what is your definition of ERP, let's
Hmm.
say, right? So this is the first phase. It could take like 1 day or it can take 1 month, dependently on how large your business is, or how much you want to do those 4 phases in the right way, right? Uh, so we can dive deeper later on if you want, of course, on all of those phases, depending on which one will be the most interesting for you. But the second phase, I'll just make 4 phases, just talk a few sentences about all of
Mm-hmm.
them. So second phase will be, okay, we already have our needs in the from first phase. So now the second phase will be to fit those vendors and those companies and those solutions which fits those needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also fits our budget,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the needs should be also like, pragmatic way. Okay, how much money do we want to spend, right? Because you can as we talk about in a previous episode, you can have like a 500 page of list of fun stuff which we want in ERP, but probably 99% of them are like not necessarily needed and most expensive ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So second phase will be choosing the vendor, choosing the solution. Third phase would be the implementation phase, and this is the longest phase because you need to, create a digital transformation roadmap. You have to choose a specific integrator. You have to choose what kind of modules you want. You have to do the testing phase, the configuration phase, the customization phase, and so on and so on. So this is like the longest phase, and we can talk about a few episodes about only this phase. And the fourth phase will be the last one. Will be the maintenance and just keep the ERP going, I would say. And after
Mm.
you reach all of those phases and you do it in the correct way, and you have someone who will help you in all of those phases, uh, then you can say, okay, my ERP works as I wanted it to work, and and it fits my business, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so answering your question, why me? Because I do all of the 4 phases. We have we have people which know stuff in all of those phases,
Mm.
from helping you defining your needs till like maintaining and administrating your ERP.
And that is unique.
Uh, you
Skills.
know, of course, our solution is not fit for everyone. As I said
Mm-hmm.
before, for manufacturing companies, probably it's not the best solution,
Mm-hmm.
because they have a lot of different things, different needs regarding to specifically production processes. But if you have a service company, or you're a software house, uh, you have you're earning money from time of your people. This is a really good solution, and it is unique because mostly you have a different companies for each phases most of the times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing the first phase by yourself, or you have someone who will help you as a consultant. And the second phase, probably it will be the same consultant, or you'll find already some vendor which will sell you the solution. The third phase will be the solution vendor and integrator, and the fourth phase, it could be your company or it could be this vendor. So this is the some
I
USP
think
which
this
which
is
we have.
crazy. I
Yeah, this
think
is
this is
crazy. Yeah.
crazy to have 4 different sets of people for different companies going through this. I think this is crazy. I
Yeah.
think it's like, an operation done by 4 different doctors. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. But okay, so now I understand why you're special. And you mentioned that those 3 elements that you assess the needs, then you choose the right vendor, and then you do this implementation part. Would you agree that the implementation part consists of configuration of the system, then the testing part, then the deployment part, and then the training part? That like I just wanted to kind of talk a little more, because this is important, that this implementation consists of those 4 elements, and you have to have time to train people on how to use it. This is like part of change management, but also crucial for that system to be useful. And then the testing part, I don't know, this is something that also should be mentioned, that it's not like we are setting this up, we are pushing this this one button and then it starts, rolling. It actually starts with the configuration. Then we do have to run, tests. Then we are deploying the solution, and then probably in the meantime, or maybe that could be the fourth step to train your staff on how to properly use it. Would you agree? Would you add something to this implementation part?
In general, I would agree, but you have to know the two things to make like like something to
Mm?
add. Like first thing will be that testing phase also have to be done in a smart way. I mean, if you are have your system already running, uh, to be honest, you should have two systems running.
Okay.
First, yeah, first of it should be the system which is all of the users are using, right? All of the people in your company. And the second one would be the testing, the ERP only for tests. So let's say you want to implement the like a second module or a newest module in your existing ERP. You should test it in a testing environment first, and after it works, after some of the people test it, you can implement it. And the testing phase should work like in the circles all of the time. Uh, and the training part also, I want to add some stuff. Uh, okay, let's imagine, uh, you should imagine right now
Mm-hmm.
that you don't know anything about computers. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
probably it's hard
What
for
is
you
a
to imagine,
computer?
but
I
let's
don't even
imagine
know.
that.
I don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know anything about computers. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
even, start a computer, right? And I am the one who wants to teach you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have two scenarios. First one, you don't know anything at all, and I have to teach you like all of it, like how to start it, where to find some icons, what is Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
Excel for, what is
Mm-hmm.
Word for, how to communicate, like how to use the keyboard and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things going on doing the learning process. And the second scenario would be like computers well, but you don't know Excel well, and I'm only learning you how to work with Excel spreadsheet,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is the same in ERP. If you have an ERP running and you're just learning people how to use new modules, it means like you're spending like a just people already know your ERP. They know the icons. They know how does it work. They know where to find some specific stuff. And you're adding new module, and now you just have to spend like 1 or 2 hours to learn how the module works, right?
Right.
So this is the two things which I would to add to make it precise.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, what is the one thing that is fueling the ERP system?
What do you mean feeling?
Like, there's no point of having ERP system if you don't have data, right? So
Yeah,
so I wanna talk about the data part, because I think that kind of brings all the elements of this conversation together. I
yeah,
mean, the ERP is fueled by data. This is something that is required necessarily to make decisions. But whenever you transitioning the data, let's say that you already have some other systems, you probably have some other systems, at least an Excel file.
yeah,
So then you have to transfer that data to that ERP system, right? And that's not an easy thing. It maybe, if you don't know how the implementation of the ERP system works, then maybe you think it's kind of like a copy paste kind of thing, but but it's not, right? So it first of all it requires you to clean the data. I would say, like data cleaning. Like it's crucial that like you're removing the duplicates. Like this happens a lot, especially if you're like switching CRMs, or if you have data in different locations, and then you want to migrate that data to one ERP system. The same record could be in several different locations, and then if you don't do this cleaning part of the data, then you're not in trouble, but it just messes up the whole process. Anything to add here for the data cleaning process?
Yeah, if you think about data, there's two things which you have to mention probably.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is the data migration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which you mentioned. So there's already data in the company, but it could be like in a few different places, and you have to have it in ERP, all of it, right? So instead of fulfilling like 10 different Excel spreadsheets, you have to put it in the ERP. Um, so yeah, this is the first thing. And of course, it's very challenging if you have to migrate the information, especially if you have already ERP running, because it means that if you're starting or you're buying a new ERP, it means that probably you also want to have in it the data which was collected before, right? And this is very challenging. This is like a really hard work because you need to, have sure that the databases will fit one to another. You, as you said, you have to be sure that nothing is, left behind and so on, right? And this is complex, and I think yeah we can talk about it in a different episode for sure if our audience would like to hear about how to
Yeah.
do it correct way. And the second thing is data automation, right? So let's say you already have the data migrated to your system, whatever you had it before, but now you are thinking, okay, so is it necessary that I have to put the same information in few places in the ERP, or few people have to put the same information? Yeah, it's nonsense, right? If something is like, the main thing should be if the information is like typed once, or take it from some source once, it should be everywhere, right? Let's say an example, simple example. You have information about the current counter, how many parts your machine produces, right? So probably it will be important in a different places in ERP. It will be important in a sale place, for warehouse, for planning, for for logistics and so on and so on. So it's no sense to put those information in a like 10 or 20 modules, the same like number, right? But you put it once and it's everywhere, and just in time, right? So two things: data migration and data automatization, which you have to consider regarding to to like I would say one of the last phases of ERP implementation.
Right. So let's say that we have that data that is ready to be migrated, and
Yeah.
then what would be the most proper thing to say? That we are mapping the data into the new system, or we are transferring that data into the new system? That's kind of technical, but I think we can talk about it. So it's more understandable, because we, I guess what we're trying to say, this is not copy paste
Yeah.
process, right? So the data has to end up in the right place for that data to keep that in integrity part. So how would you? How can we explain it that it's not copy paste? In terms of that, the data has to be mapped into the right place so it keeps its in integrity. How can we explain it? So yeah, so it's just so it doesn't sound like it's copy paste. It's more complex than that.
Okay, so to answer this question, we have to think about the implementation process for a few minutes. So, if you implemented a new ERP, it's already made, the modules which can be run. It's running, and you want to train your people to work with it, right? So, if you had an ERP before, or you use Excel spreadsheets or whatever data, solution which you had, probably in first phase you should use both methods in the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're putting new information in this new ERP,
Mm-hmm.
but all of the old information you have in an old solution, and also you're putting probably data in old solution, the new data in old solution as well.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Because you have to be sure that your new ERP works well the same as work the old one. And how long this phase should take, I have no idea. Probably it could be weeks or months. It depends how many information do you have. Um, but yeah, probably it's something like, okay, you have to do the same work twice. But sorry, if you want to be secured, and probably you want to be, you should do it, right? And after this phase is ended, so you have this new ERP, which you say, okay, the new data works correctly. We have everything in place. You have to do the migration of information. So probably you want to create a structure of data in the database in your ERP system, and you have to connect. You have to send all of the old data to the structure to fulfill this database with all of the old data, right? And
Right.
this is complex because probably your old database and your new database, they are way different. Like there's way different tables, way different ways to represent the same information. So you have to have like create a software, custom software, which will translate, I would say, the data from the old database to the new database. So it's the same, like it's the same work as you have to manually see the let's say you don't have a Google translator, and you have this new language which you don't know, and how did you create a translator to this new language? Probably you have to know, you have to do it word by word from the beginning, and after a while you see like some specific things which are having those words in common. So you find an algorithm and a way that you will translate the data, uh, and this is how you do it, right? And it could be like if you do it in a well-known solutions from one well-known to another one, probably it will be not hard because already someone did it in the past.
Mm.
But if you had like a very customizable solution which no one had before, it's only you know tailored made for you, and now you bought SAP, probably it will be more challenging work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanna talk about the role of the ERP system and in this digital transformation roadmap. But I still want to finish up this the data part. So let's say that we have clean data, then we are in the process of migrating or mapping that data into the ERP, and that's done. Then what's crucial is the testing part, right? So
Yeah.
okay, the data is there, but now we should run tests to identify if there are any issues. Anything, if everything went wrong during the migration process or not. And then the last thing that I think is also worth mentioning is the fact that you need or you should keep a backup of the original data, right? Just in case if something goes wrong, just to be on the safe side. So I think that kind of sums up the data part. But if we are looking at the ERP system as a part, of um, digital transformation roadmap, right? It's huge. It's one of the main elements, probably. I mean, yeah, I would say one of the main elements. So, how would you look at the ERP system in that context of the digital transformation roadmap? When would you start thinking of that ERP solution or planning its role in the company? Is this like the most important part of the digital transformation roadmap, or you can implement it anytime?
It
Depends.
also depends on the
Depends.
sector, of
Yeah.
course. But for most of the companies, and just for the record, most of the companies are small companies, as we said.
Mm-hmm.
ERP probably will be the only system which supports the digital transformation, because
Mm-hmm.
probably or maybe they will not need anything else. I'll tell you an example. For example, we are a software house and we have ERP, as I said, but we also have an EMS system. So we have a smart home visualization, which is
Mm-hmm.
helping us to make sure that we are, knowing that we are using for example, the electricity in a good way, that we are using the heat in a good way, that we are not, you know, that we are like focusing mainly on, that we have no leaks in the, pipes and stuff like that in our building, let's say, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is which also any company can use, because most of the companies have like a place when they are doing their work. Uh, but if you're let's say a manufacturing company and you don't have any IT systems, probably ERP should be the first one,
Mm.
because ERP is something which is like a platform between you, your customers, and your workers, right? And this is the first step, because you can gather the customer relationships, you can gather their invoices, costs, and stuff like that. And if you have like a general information how your business work and you have it from ERP, then you can consider other stuff like MES systems, like planning systems, like advanced planning, like let's say EMS, like you know uh, like
Sure, sure,
you
sure.
have
No, no, it
you can
makes
have tens of those.
yeah,
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. So again, it depends. Mm, but let's say that you were to that there's we can choose one example maybe, because it's always best to explain it using an example. And let's say, like, let's choose a company, and let's try to decide what should be the digital transformation roadmap for that company, in terms of implementing this ERP system. Let's choose. Do you have any like real examples that we could use, or not really? Or
You
we
can
cannot
choose
use them?
whatever you want. I'll try to
Okay.
give you an example for that.
What
Yeah.
is the most common? Let's say that you have X amount of ERP implementations with your company, right?
Yeah.
What size of the company, or what industry of the company? What industry is the most common? Like from all the implementations that you have done.
I mean, in general, the most
Mm-hmm.
common would be probably manufacturing, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about that, but I would say that it will be manufacturing, because there's a lot of different things in manufacturing which you have to connect. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have ERP and your size of a company, as I said, is more than 100 people, uh, for sure it's terrible to work with Excel spreadsheets. But in general, I would say what we are, because our offering, as I said, is not from for manufacturing, for services. And for services, if we say, I think the software houses is a place when you can really benefit from ERP,
Mm-hmm.
because people is your main, I would say, cost and your biggest benefit, right? At the same time, and you have different projects, and probably different people works in the different projects at the same time. And let's say your employee in the same time have like three projects rolling, right? If we have some downtime in one project, he will switch to another one, and so on. So how you can know exactly what you have your costs per project? You cannot know if you don't have cost allocation
I
properly,
can
right?
tell you. I can tell you.
Okay, tell me.
Most IT companies do not measure that in the right way. I
Yeah,
would say
probably.
99% of companies don't measure that in the right way. And
Yeah,
they don't even think about implementing ERP system, because they think ERP system is for big organizations that have thousands of people, but it's not. It's for you
yeah.
actually. So I was going for this for the manufacturing, as this is maybe more relevant for this podcast. But now I think that talking about implementing ERP system for, IT companies is even more interesting, I think. What do you feel? Because the good part is that you have experience in both, right? Because you create solutions for manufacturing, but you're also running a software house.
Yeah, yeah, but the problem is in software because you have to consider one thing. If you have a software house,
Mm-hmm.
which business is, let's say, body leasing, and you are like uh, lease people for a projects for a really really long term, right? Probably you don't have this cost allocation problem because it's easy, right? You're paying X amount of money to your programmer,
Mm-hmm.
and you're taking Y amount of money every month from your client, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
math is, you can just count it on in a piece of paper or in your head. But the problem is if you are as a software company as my, because we have projects and we are implementing our solutions, which means that we have a lot of projects where different people are working on it. So in the same day, programmer can work in 2 or 3 projects, and if it's that way, it means like, how do I know how many hours did he spend on projects A and how many hours on projects B? So which projects are more profitable, A or B's? Or we should more focus on A or B's, or we should sell more A's or B's. How do
Mm-hmm.
I know that if I don't have a proper cost allocation, right? And also, how do I know that if I don't have this cost allocations connected to invoices, cash flow, and customer relationship, right? And if I have ERP, and I do have one, it means that it's like one click and I have one report and I know everything about it, right?
But this is probably mostly because you're not focusing on you're focusing on projects, and you have to know this. If you were
Yeah.
focusing on body leasing, like you said, maybe not that relevant. And I believe most of the IT companies in in our location is providing body leasing services, not projects, so they don't really pay attention to that. But maybe if they evolve, into like maybe product or uh, project companies, then they would need that, and they should implement that, because there's so much knowledge that you can get out of those out of that ERP reports. It's unbelievable. But that maybe some other time we'll discuss that. Uh, so now I think it kind of makes sense to sum it up, because it feels like this ERP topic is just keep growing and growing, and whenever we talk more about the ERP, we realize that there is much more that we can talk about, right? But I think we should summarize this, because that was just a lot of knowledge that you can absorb kind of easy. And then if we will make some more content in regards of all the like the benefits of ERP solutions, and well, also what should we be using that ERP system, and what is absolutely not something that we should be using this for. So let's wrap it up. Anything that you like to say at the end? Maybe takeaway. Let's go for takeaways, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, so I will make a takeaway from both of those episodes combined,
Mm-hmm.
because they are actually the one we just finishing up. It's like continuation of the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that you know buying ERP probably could be like the hardest thing which you did in your business, and probably you shouldn't choose one using only Google. And if you see how many obstacles are there and how many traps, if you do it in the wrong way, remember that probably your people will be like less reasonable for you for the next chance which you have, right? So if you buy ERP which will be for nothing, and it have to be throw it in the trash because it will not fit your business, probably your people will be mad and they don't accept the second and the third one. So like, choosing an ERP, it should be like the one-way path, at least for a while, for your company. And you should do it in the right way. I think in those 2 episodes, we give you like a lot of knowledge how to do it in the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I would say that ERP, it's not a tool, it's not, people think maybe this is some kind of piece of, it is software, but it's not a tool. I think it's like a fundamental element of the digital transformation journey, but also the one that helps you make better decisions. So it is. So this is a solution that that helps you leverage technology to drive growth, and then improve operations, and ensures a long-term success. Because if you do not use that data, again, it sounds so obvious, right? If you measure the data, if you draw conclusions, you're gonna be ahead of all the other companies that don't do it. But I feel that still needs to be mentioned as a summary, that we have access. We have access to that technology. It's not easy, to implement. It's not easy to choose the right solution, but I believe the future is all about data. It's all about making better decisions, all about calculating proper margins to still be competitive, but still making money. So I think well, there'll be more about ERP, because the more we talk about it, the more I realize that we have to talk about even more stuff related to ERP system. So it was good. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.